What we're going to do is we're simply going to take this pad and stick it on to this holder as such. I got that a little crooked, so it's best to do it this way. And you notice this stick is just a little short. This is an adjustable handle, and what you want to do is adjust this to where this is at your chin height. Tighten the handle, and now I've got it at the proper height. What we're going to do is simply take the lid off of the container. I simply put it in my hip pocket, that way I know where it's at. Now, one of the things that you don't see us doing is taking the floor finish and pouring it in a container. If we did that, what would happen? The floor finish would be drying out in this big open container. While we're using it here, it's got this little bitty opening. We're going to lose very little volatiles to it. There could be very little drying. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it straight out of here onto the floor and simply spread it with a flat microfiber mop. Pardon me, this is not microfiber, it's acrylic, but it's a flat mop. Then when we get through, we're simply going to take this head and put it in that trash can liner, and then we're going to tie it up, and that's going to be the end of our process. I'll put the cap back onto the container. No air will be getting to it. This way, if there is any debris that is left on the floor, it will not be picked up and put back into the floor finish. Other thing that will happen is we will not be putting air into the floor finish. Conventional floor finish wisdom is to put it in the bucket, take the mop and douse it up and down. That movement then puts air into the product. Maybe that's the reason why our floor finishes aren't working right. So, what I'll do is I'll show you how I do it. Now, as you saw, we scrubbed clear over to this line here, right with this black tile. What I'll do is I will stand in these two squares here. So what I will do is actually reach over here to 2 squares past my right foot and 2 squares past my left foot. And this is the range of motion. We don't want to go further, we don't want to go shorter. Make it comfortable, you want to stand straight up. We don't want to make this hard. Now, since this pad is new, I will come back here approximately, 10 to 15 feet. I'm going to pour out a puddle about as big as 2 squares. You see the 2 squares? What I'm now going to do is kind of get my mop pad saturated, because it's brand new. You've got to get it loaded. But if you were to take a finish mop and put it into a pail of finish, it would take about 3/4 of a gallon of finish to get that pad wet. You see how I poured out a very little amount of finish and I've got the pad wet, so now I haven't just consumed a whole lot of finish just to get the pad wet. Now I'm going to pour this out again, and what I'm going to do here is simply take and make a line. And I think I'm right to where I want to be. And you see what we have here. The floor finish is more down here, less here. So as I work my way this direction and the pad loses its finish, I'm actually going to be picking it up as I go that direction. So we're actually going to come across here. You see I'm going to go 2 blocks to this side, 2 blocks to this side. And I'm simply going to turn the pad around and come back the same way. And this is my range of motion. And as you see, I've come back to my jug, I've spread all the floor finish out, and I've kept pretty much in that pattern. So what I'm going to do is simply do the same procedure again. You also notice at this point, what I'm going to do is take my cap, put it back on my finish. There's no extra finish that's being wasted. Only the finish that I wanted on the floor is now on the floor. Now what I simply do, you notice there's no finish dripping off of the mop. I don't have a lot of excess. I'm simply going to take it down the bag, put it in here, and simply twist this around, roll it up, and set it here. What I've now done is I've simply put the finish on the floor. Only the finish that is needed has come out of the container. It is absolutely pure. It went right on the floor. There was no drying time from being in the bucket. There was no dirt in it. I put no air in it. And I only used the amount of finish that I needed. Also, whenever you use a regular bucket, what would now be happening is for the next 4 hours, while I apply the next coats of finish, that bucket of floor finish is going to be drying. Here, there's no drying happening either in the finish or in the mop.